Hello, my name is Daryl Shirley, and this is my mind map for week one video journal. And so on the screen, as you can see, is an image of an outline, basically my mind map of the week one's readings. And the week one's reading was the excerpt from Feynman's Cargo Code, the article The Content Intelligence, the article Moore's Law for Everything, article Superintelligence, Fear, Promise, and Potential, and the article excerpt from The Savage Mind. And those are highlighted in blue in the blue circles. And then the author for the Feynman Cargo Code was Richard P. Feynman. Author for the Content Intelligence was Cody Hall. Author for Super Intelligent Fear, Promise, and Potential was Ben Goertzel. The author for Moore's Law for Everything was Sam Altman. And the author for The Savage Mind was Levi Strauss. And the overarching theme that I found or believe that these articles are kind of pointing to for this week was the question, is AI a threat to humanity? And I divided up this question into three different answers, which were that AI was dangerous, AI is not dangerous, or we are uncertain if AI is dangerous or not. And several of these articles had links to other articles that they were kind of arguing points for. And for the content intelligence in particular, the article that it was pulling forward from most was the article created by Eliezer Yudkowsky called AGI Ruin, A List of Legalities. And the conclusion that I kind of assumed that from reading and understanding the content intelligence was that this previous article argued that AI is dangerous and is a threat to humanity. And there was this point that Cody Hall was trying to argue against, for he believed that the real issue that Eliezer Yudkowsky had was that he was more afraid of artificial life and what that threat that could pose instead of AI. And so my overarching thought process that he concluded that AI is not actually dangerous since intelligence is what's the dangerous thing. It is all the kind of factors that artificial life bring forward from that, and not especially significantly artificial intelligence. Another article that kind of was pulled from that argued that AI is dangerous is Nick Bostrom's Superintelligence, which feeds into the article Superintelligence, Fear, Promise, and Potential by Ben Goertzel. And he argued that this superintelligence has different methods and ways that it can pose a threat to humanity. And Ben Goertzel said that we can kind of concluded from his article that we cannot kind of determine whether or not superintelligence will be dangerous. We can't say it's not, but we can say that it's uncertain since the future and the advancement of technology is not kind of pointing any which way that we're uncertain that it's dangerous or not. And this shows kind of similarities between Sam Altman's article, Moore's Law for Everything, as he talked about in that article, the exponential growth nature of AI technology and how, since he's on the forefront, he's the CEO of OpenAI, which is a major company in terms of creating artificial intelligence and leading the world in that front. And what I found was that both he and Eliezer Yudkowsky both kind of wanted to government safeguards to ensure AI would be kept from becoming a threat because of the uncertain nature in terms of Sam Altman and the kind of belief that AI will be dangerous to humanity, which Eliezer Yudkowsky kind of argued in its potential ability to wipe out humanity as he did certain thought processes about that. And then there was also the articles or excerpts, I should say, from The Savage Mind from Levi Strauss and Feynman Cargo Code, which don't explicitly talk about the AI or the threat that it poses to humanity, but in particular, Feynman's Cargo Code, this talked about the concept of a cargo code, which I believe to be the educational and psychological studies that follow all the apparent precepts and forms of scientific investigation, which connects to the Turing test in my mind, that connects to like testing whether or not AI is actually intelligence, which then feeds into, is this AI intelligence actually a threat? because if we use like these scientific methods appropriately, we can decide whether or not this AI is actually passing the Turing test. And if we don't use it appropriately, we won't know. Kind of, if you're catching what I'm trying to say, is that we won't know whether or not the AI is passive or not, or what we are calling AI is actually AI, and we wouldn't be able to determine if what we're actually trying to research and investigate is a threat to humanity, since we didn't accurately uh, identify what's making it intelligent, or what's making it a threat, or what's causing it to cause changes in our society. And from the Savage Mind, that's more about the preconceptions that we have about what is intelligence, what makes a human, and without being able to fully understand what makes a human and what intelligence is, we cannot truly understand whether something is passing the Turing test. And I felt that that also pulled into the Turing test, which kind of pulls down into whether or not AI is a threat to humanity. And I also was able to, through the readings, discover there was alternative thought experiments, like the Chinese room thought experiment and the Korean room thought experiment, that challenged the preconceptions of the Turing test and said, and kind of pose a thought like, how do we know that what we're testing in the Turing test is actually intelligence and not something that just looks like intelligence to us? How do we know that it's not just machine that was programmed to emulate intelligence, but isn't actually intelligence within and of itself? And so that kind of like pulls back and tweet forth and trying to determine whether something passes the Turing test or not, and tries to help us realize that we need to be more cognizant and inclusive about, or not inclusive, but more cognizant about all the factors that could possibly go into something being AI, or not being AI, but whether or not AI is actually intelligent or pass the Turing test. And then we can decide from this point, okay, where does AI kind of lead to in terms of if it's dangerous to us not or not, whether we are still uncertain even with what we know about whether or not it'll lead to us being dangerous, and what kind of steps we can take going from there. Yes, that is my kind of summary of my mind map, and thank you for listening.